Hope your week's off to a great start. Thank you for joining us for our newscast. I'm Daniel Choy. Let's start with the headlines. In a welcome turn of events, the leaders of Korea and Japan attend special celebrations at their respective embassies to commemorate 50 years of diplomatic ties, possibly indicating a small step towards thawing relations. As earlier announced by the health authorities, the MERS situation seems to be on the decline here in Korea. Just 3 more cases confirmed, all contracted within hospitals. 2 more lives were lost. Both victims, though, in their late 80s and 90s, were battling pre-existing illnesses. A total of 50 people have recovered from the virus. Lawmakers and government officials put their heads together on the appropriate level of stimulus plans, including a supplementary budget to mitigate the economic impact of the MERS outbreak. We're getting reports that Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is currently attending a reception hosted by the Korean embassy in Tokyo, marking the 50th anniversary of the 2 countries' normalized ties after Japan's decades-long colonial rule. Here, the Prime Minister is reported to have highlighted the bilateral relations in maintaining peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific region. In a message read by her foreign minister, President Park Geun-hye said it's important to address their unresolved historical issues with notions of reconciliation and coexistence. While President Park will attend a reception hosted by the Japanese embassy in Seoul, she was expected to indirectly refer to the need for Japan to take initiatives on past issues, including its wartime sex enslavement of Korean women. Amid speculations over thawing of ties between Seoul and Tokyo, the Korean foreign minister had told the Korean press in Tokyo that bilateral relations will improve if they address unsettled issues based on trust and compromise. As this day marks a highly significant anniversary of Korea and Japan, 50 years since the normalization of their diplomatic relations, we decided to trace back to how far the 2 nations have come in that respect. Our Hwang Sung-hee takes us through the key points of the past 50 years and shows us where Korea and Japan currently stand.
On June 22, 1965, Korea and Japan agreed to begin a new chapter in their relations, leaving behind decades of unfortunate history. The normalization of their diplomatic relations, a result of 14 years of lengthy negotiations, secured economic aid for Korea and post-war settlement for Japan.
The Korea-Japan Treaty officially came into effect at 5 p.m. on June 22nd, leaving behind the unfortunate Korea-Japan relations of the past and paving the way for a grand new history.
With the financial help of Japan, Korea rose from the ashes of war and underwent major growth. Half a century later, the 2 neighbors are the closest of economic partners, with bilateral trade volume jumping nearly 400-fold. But unresolved issues remain. In their treaty, Seoul and Tokyo had failed to address Japan's wartime sexual enslavement of hundreds and thousands of Korean women. The issue came to light in 1991 with the testimony of one of the victims and is now the biggest point of contention between the 2 neighbors. Seoul is demanding a sincere apology and compensation from the Japanese government, while Tokyo claims that the issue was resolved by a 1995 landmark apology issued by then Prime Minister Tomichi Murayama. While the top diplomats from the 2 countries failed to reach a deal on the comfort women issue during their meeting on Sunday, they did make some progress on other matters.
We held a cordial, honest, and constructive 3-hour discussion on issues of mutual interest.
Seoul's foreign ministry said the 2 sides agreed to smoothly resolve the issue of Japan's UNESCO bid, hinting that Tokyo is willing to clearly state the historical background of its wartime industrial facilities as sites of forced labor for nearly 60,000 Koreans. But whether that's enough for the 2 neighbors to fully break the ice remains to be seen. Hwang Sung-hee, Arirang News.
Well, unfortunately, cultural exchanges between Korea and Japan look a bit like the current political atmosphere at the moment, flat and uninspired. The number of cultural events held in 2 countries has slumped to a third the level seen 10 years ago when 2005 was designated the year of Korea-Japan friendship. Our Son Jung-in reports.
When Korea's top Hallyu star Bae Yong-joon announced his wedding plans with actress Park Soo-jin, the news quickly spread to dominate Japan's entertainment headlines and social media sites. In November last year, Korean pop group JYJ held a concert in Tokyo Dome, drawing a staggering 100,000 fans. Hallyu, or the Korean wave, is still popular in Japan, but it's quickly running out of steam. On the political front, Korea and Japan haven't held a summit in 3 years, and the number of cultural exchange events has dropped sharply due to the ongoing territorial and historical issues between the two countries.
There used to be around 300 diverse cultural events every year, but now, despite the fact this year marks the 50th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic relations, we are expecting fewer than 100 events.
The significant turning point for Hallyu came in 1998 when Korea decided to open its doors to Japanese pop culture. Flowing the other way, hit Korean dramas like Winter Sonata and Jewel in the Palace caused a sensation, followed by the K-pop boom, which swept major charts in the country's music industry. But the Korean wave hit a barrier when the popularity was challenged by right-wing Japanese politicians whose negative comments towards it were fueled by Tokyo's diplomatic friction with Seoul. There are growing calls to put current political issues aside and rekindle the dying embers of bilateral cultural exchanges in order to re-energize mutual understanding and trust between the two nations. 손정인, Arirang News.
We now shift gears to the latest on the MERS situation here in Korea. Like the health ministry said last week, the MERS virus seems to be on the decline, with only a very small number of cases being reported over the past few days. Let's go over to our Kim Young-gil at the news center for more. Young-gil?
Daniel, the current government has been mobilizing all its power and resources to contain the coronavirus on the back of mounting criticism for a weak initial response. Since the outbreak was first confirmed on May 20th, it looks like things may be under control. Just 3 more cases were confirmed, all of which were transmitted within hospitals. As of today, Korea has confirmed a total of 172 MERS patients and 27 deaths, with the deadly virus claiming 2 more lives overnight. The deceased were aged 84 and 97 with pre-existing illnesses, including cancer. The number of suspected patients in quarantine dropped for a 4th straight day to slightly over 3,800, with nearly 520 being released today. There are now 50 people who have recovered from MERS. Taking a look at the figures, the number of MERS patients undergoing treatment is clearly on the decline. We now have 95 patients being treated at medical facilities, which is almost 30 less patients from June 17th, just 5 days ago. It's not overwhelming, but the numbers are decreasing. Daniel?
Well, Myung-gil, I also heard that more reinforcements will be swooping in from outside of Korea. President Park Geun-hye invited foreign medical experts to seek better ways to effectively counter the MERS outbreak and other new types of contagious disease, right?
That's right, Daniel. The presidential office announced the plan today, saying the meeting will take place this coming Wednesday. 5 experts, 2 from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and 3 from the World Health Organization will attend the meeting, accompanied by Korean medical experts. President Park will discuss with the experts methods to overhaul Korea's quarantine system for contagious diseases and also detail the agenda for a global health summit to be held in September in Korea. The Global Health Security Agenda, which was launched last year, is designed to help create a world that is safe and secure from infectious disease threats and is composed of 44 countries. Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-ahn also said Monday that when the MERS outbreak is contained, he would investigate the government and hospitals for any problems encountered while taking appropriate measures to tackle the virus. That's the latest on the MERS update. Back to you.
All right, thank you for that report, Myung-gil. Still, the economic impact of the MERS outbreak is one of the major topics among lawmakers and government officials on this, the second day of the interpellation sessions. Our National Assembly correspondent Park Ji-won tells us more.
Lawmakers' main concerns on Monday's interpellation session were the government's plans to stimulate the economy amid the MERS outbreak. 9 top government officials, including the Prime Minister, Finance Minister, and Trade Minister, attended the Assembly session focusing on the economy.
Will the Finance Minister secure a supplementary budget to assist those affected by the MERS outbreak?
Even if the outbreak is contained during the early stages, it's already greatly impacted the economy. Thus, we will examine an optimum level for stimulus plans, including the supplementary budget.
Although rival parties all agree on the need for the supplementary budget, they stress the ways to secure the budget as well as its effectiveness should be clarified. Regarding follow-up questions about the government's possible budget deficit this year, the finance minister said the government will suffer deficits to some degree, but that the situation has improved compared to last year. Last year, the government recorded a deficit of nearly $10 billion in tax revenue. The government's measures for supporting the economy's most vulnerable income bracket was another focal point of the session.
What are the incumbent administration's measures to assist the low-income bracket?
The government considers providing jobs for people to be the most important measure to lessen the burden of the low-income bracket. We also aim to pursue increasing household income, reducing living expenses, and providing direct assistance to the most vulnerable classes, such as small business owners and farmers.
Lawmakers also questioned the officials about the government's commitment to counter the nation's economic challenges, such as ballooning household debt and measures to help farmers cope with drought damages. The 4-day interpellation sessions will continue through Wednesday. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Well, business circles are also being proactive to ensure that the country remains on the path to recovery after MERS. We have our Kim Ji-yeon with this report.
Korean business circles stepped up efforts to shrug off the blow dealt by the MERS outbreak on the country's path to recovery. At an emergency meeting led by the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Chairman Park Yeon-man on Monday stressed the importance of carrying out economic revitalization plans to foster investment and employment. Park says the country's service sector, including the tourism industry, have been the hardest hit from the outbreak, as people have refrained from engaging in outdoor activities. The number of foreign tourists visiting the country dropped 82% during July and August from the same period last year to around 202,500 people, incurring losses of around $98.7 million. In response, the group have called for cooperation between government and business circles to bolster consumer sentiment. The group also requested for the normalization of dealings with some 130 foreign chambers of commerce and industries planning to visit the country. This comes as foreign buyers, in particular those from China and the Middle East, have asked to delay investment deals since the MERS outbreak. Park asked the government to carry out its economic revitalization policies according to plan, including its pledge to support small businesses and execution of fiscal expansionary measures. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Sales of dried and frozen fruits have spiked as more people are looking to supplement their diets with more vitamins to build up their immunity against the MERS virus. According to an online shopping site, Gmarket, on Monday, sales of dried fruits jumped six-fold during the mid-May to mid-June period compared to the same period last year, with sales of dried mango and pineapple topping that list. Sales of frozen fruit jumped 20% during the same period. Gmarket attributes the sales increase to the prolonged drought as fruit harvests are down and consumers are looking for alternatives to get their vitamins. Farmers across Korea felt some much-needed relief in the form of rain over the weekend, but it was hardly enough to get things back on track. Global weather patterns have been causing a lot of unpredictability here in Korea, and the prolonged drought is drying up resources. Our Lee Ju-young reports.
The continued drought across the country has his poultry farm owner worried sick. He says his chicks are barely getting by with the 7 tons of water provided once a day. And he's even more concerned as the day to ship them out approaches. When that day comes, they'll need twice the amount of water.
I'm most worried about chicks dying in large numbers since they have no water to drink. As you can see, I even bought my own water tank.
The situation is not so much different at this fish farm. The owner says he's been having to pick out some 100 dead fish per day, with his underground water supply dried up and arid conditions showing no signs of improvement. He says he has no choice but to share water with other farmers given the dire situation, and the quality of his trout has dropped so much that they're not sellable on the market.
Fish farms can't stand a single hour without water. Farmland can go for days. But as trout is a cold water fish, it's hard for them to survive even without just a few hours of fresh water.
Experts say the aridity in Korea is mainly due to the warm phase of El Niño, which typically brings floods for countries in Latin America, but can cause long dry spells in Asian and East African countries. Authorities predict the drought in Korea will drag out to as long as next January. The government has agreed to pour in some $56 million to develop countermeasures and offer support for damages caused by the long dry spell. Lee Ju-young, Arirang News.
North Korea will not be participating in next month's 2015 Summer Universiade set to take place in the city of Gwangju, south of Seoul. The organizing committee said Monday that North Korea sent an email to the committee on Friday, canceling plans to send its athletes and officials because of the planned opening of a UN Human Rights Office in Seoul next week. However, the committee is working with the Unification Ministry to verify the authenticity of the email. The International University Sports Federation was included on the recipient list, but the federation said it did not receive the email. North Korea previously canceled its plans to compete in the 1986 Asian Games and 1988 Summer Olympics. 3 sets of Korea's oldest medical book series titled 동의보감 have officially become national treasures on Monday. The Cultural Heritage Administration said the series, which literally means Mirror of Eastern Medicine, was first compiled by a royal physician named He Jun during the Joseon dynasty. The 3 sets that were promoted as national treasures were part of the encyclopedia's first prints from the 17th century. The entire 25-volume series of 동의보감 was listed on UNESCO's Memory of the World Register in 2009. That's all for now. Thank you for watching.